Hello, good afternoon. What do I want to talk about? I just saw a movie on YouTube about someone who was schizophrenic, and it was pretty tough. Um, I want to share my own experiences with that, since I'm chronic psychotic and heavy schizophrenic. Has been a couple of years, more than 10 actually, to be more precise. Um, yeah, where to start? It's a difficult illness because you can't put your finger on it. It's mental. In my case, it turns out that I have a lot of dopamine inside my mind, through which I was hallucinatic and delusional. Took me many years to recover. I tried different kinds of medicines, through which it went better, but not great. You know, and recently, 2 years ago, I got new medicines. I won't talk about the brand, but it was one of the strongest medicines there is out there for people who are schizophrenic. And I must say that they really work. I'm feeling better, It's not like that I can't work. That's not possible at the moment. Still not possible. But I do have time spans that I can do things. And that's very nice. So, being delusional and schizophrenic, it's like losing reality sense. You lose everything, fantasy becomes reality, and yeah, you're sucked inside of that, fantasy worlds projecting on the reality. I always see it as like, yeah, sort of Droste effect, so that you see one thought and then mirroring it back in multiple thoughts, but also with feelings and in fear most of the time. Yeah, really big in fear. It's tough. So I want to talk about it. For me, it has been. I was being hospitalized in 2005. Yeah, that's 12 and a half years ago. And when I was diagnosed, I got the diagnosis that I was schizophrenic. So I thought, me? Schizophrenic? No, that's not possible. But in the meantime, I was really delusional, and being hospitalized. I said I was in a closed section, and I saw people passing by who weren't there. I was talking to them all of the time, laughing out loud, enjoying my conversations with them. So to see that you are really ill, that took several years actually, because I didn't realize it. When being psychotic, you're sucked inside of that, and you project that, like I said, on everything, and that's really difficult to learn. Years afterwards, I had a lot of therapy. I had a psychiatrist, I had a therapist, I had a psychologist. They told me all kinds of story about being psychotic and schizophrenic, but I also wrote about my own stories, and because of that, I remember, for instance, that I was talking about my stories with a psychologist, and she took a book with her, which was the handbook of psychologists about people who were schizophrenic, and it was one on one. So then I realized, okay, so I'm really schizophrenic, and I had to admit that. And also, a doctor pointed me out to search for symptoms on the internet when I got a new medication. And I had to admit that, let's say, 10 points, I had 8 of them. So I had to admit that I was really schizophrenic. But even then, it took me years to realize it, actually. Because you feel, you hear, you're thinking that everything which is inside of you is reality, but in fact it's not. In fact, you're projecting fantasy worlds on reality. So, like, for instance, what is a feeling, what is a thought, but also about the afterlife. Is the afterlife real? And what is your perception on that? Are you a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew, or none of all those things, and you believe something else? For me, I read something else. I read the works of Joseph Roelof, and that's mostly about reincarnation and the traveling of the soul from planet to planet. And I felt really confident with that he spoke the truth. So then I realized So if this is the truth, then everything I have in my mind and projecting that on reality is fake. So that was also one of the start that I thought, okay, then I'm really psychotic, I'm sick, I'm ill. But even then, it took me years to become a bit normal, you know. My feelings went through walls in a way that I would feel the neighbors. I was scared of thinking. I was scared of taking the bus, going to the supermarket, going to the cinema. Things I always did in the past, you know, watching a movie every now and then, taking the bus to the city like Amsterdam, close by. And I couldn't do all those things anymore. And that was really... I still can't do all of these things, but I'm trying to. So from at the moment I'm feeling normal, but that's also because I take my medication every day. And if I forget about the medication, I feel it immediately. Even once there was the pharmacy made a mistake. They gave me 1.5 milligrams of a medicine instead of 50 milligrams of that medicine. So in the weekend I thought, what is going on? I'm totally psychotic again, totally knackered. And on Monday I went to the pharmacy and I said, you know, I'm psychotic, I guess. And how is that possible? Then she saw that they made a mistake, and they were really open about it, of course. And what's the word for it? That they said apologies. Yeah, they gave me a big apologies, and that it never should have happened. That's okay, you know, I don't really mind that. But the thing is, then I realized that I couldn't live without medication. You know, so I read my medication every day. So I have a lot of medication, from morning medicines till evening medicines. Because of that medicine, my pulse rate is a bit higher, and my blood pressure is a bit higher, so I need medication for that as well. I don't mind that, but yeah, I do have a lot of medication. So I hope I will become normal eventually. I write poems about it. I draw paintings. I made paintings like that one right over there. But also about the afterlife. I think the afterlife is really there, and I'm really 100% sure that it is, and also that reincarnation is a fact. So what I'm thinking is that I am taking past lives with me, which I'm making good, because God, universal love, that's everything. So when I'm feeling bad and in fear all the time, it's like, because God is universal love, so it's from me, from past lives. So that's why I can take it in a way, to have more control about my own life again. In a small dialogue. Yeah, so I'm still learning. I will want to make a couple of movies every now and then about how I feel and how I perceive reality, and show you my paintings and perhaps my artwork. I also wrote a book about it. You can find that on Amazon under my own name. I think it's interesting for people who are interested in being psychotic, what that's like, and that someone who's really down and out finds God. And because of that, he sees that he's really delusional and lost track of reality. Because I think that many people can become psychotic. For me, it's dopamine, but it's also to get psychotic about different beliefs about the afterlife, like religion. There's no burning hell and fire and flames and things like that. It's only after your own inner being. And you had many lives, actually. In matter of fact, you go back and forth from the afterlife to the earth, and back and forth again. And then you will go higher to the highest spheres before going to a new planet with your twin soul. So if you believe in that, you will let go of many things in life which are based upon nothing, actually. And I think that's really interesting. But for me, being psychotic and schizophrenic, it was really a tough time. And I'm feeling a bit better nowadays. But in the past, a day was a year, and a year a day. I had difficulties with birthdays, with Christmas, with other festivities. I couldn't go to the cafes anymore I liked to do in the past. Like I said, you know, like cinema and going by bus, I couldn't do all of those things. I was laying in bed for days on end, and it was really, I lost everything, you know. I didn't want to visit friends anymore. I didn't want to see other people, for like family and things like that, because I was rude. So, this is first time I'm on YouTube, or maybe my second time, but I want to talk about it every now and then, so I hope you will like it. And if there are any comments, you can put them down below. I will try to reply on that, on your answers, questions, things like that. And I will read a couple of poems I made. I will show you a couple of paintings I made. I want to talk more about being psychotic and schizophrenic, and getting your reality back on track. I think that's very important, because some people are psychotic, other people are maybe a bit depressed or burnout, you know. We all have certain things in life. And I think it's also, you know, because of the society we have nowadays, it's not always one-on-one with the afterlife, you know. And also with reincarnation. For instance, you can't reincarnate into an animal, you know. That's simply not true. And I really believe in reincarnation. It's a feeling I have on my entire life. So I can't, yeah, I have a lot of conversations with a good friend of mine, and he doesn't believe in reincarnation, but I do. So that's why I want to talk about it and write and paint about it. So I see it's already 12 minutes. So if there are any questions, please let me know. And I will post a video every now and then. Okay, bye.